Hello students, welcome to another EEP class. In previous video, we have discussed passages 1 to 5 and today in this class we are going to discuss 6 to 10 passages. In my previous class, I have talked about buying EEP books. Students, if you do not buy EEP books, you cannot follow through what we are telling you. Okay, and you cannot look into the books and you may not understand the concept well. So it is better to buy books before watching this video. So still, if you haven't bought the EEP books, please buy them today. Without wasting much time, let's get started. Sixth passage is about summer rain. We get rains in rainy season, okay, but do we get rains in summer season also? Yes, possibly yes. Now, a similar story on summer rain. Let's discuss that. The worst days of any summer are the rainy ones. We spend all year looking forward to nice weather and long hot days. All of winter with its dreary grey days and bitter cold, we dream of those endless days at the beach, laying on the sand and soaking in the bright and burning sun. And then summer comes and it rains. Dear students, what do you think the first passage is about? It is about summer rains. How people wait for summer after spending all these dreary grey days. Dreary here means colorless, dull. Okay, after spending all these colorless, dull days, they wait for bright and long day. What do they do in summer? They spend their time laying on the sand, soaking in the bright and hot sun, burning sun. And what happens? They wait for summer, but summer comes and it rains. Okay, this is all about the first passage. And now come to the second passage. As a child, I would wake up to rainy summer days and come close to crying. It wasn't fair. What wasn't fair? Crying wasn't fair. We suffered through months of school and miserable weather for those scant 10 weeks of freedom and balmy weather. Scant means temporary or small, we can say, or small 10 weeks of freedom, and balmy weather means pleasant weather. When do they get these pleasant and these 10 weeks of temporary freedom? In summer holidays, summer days. Okay, they wait for that after spending miserable days in school. Any day that I could not spend at the beach or playing ball with my friends seemed like a punishment for something I didn't even do. The second passage, you know, the speaker of the second passage might be a boy. He expresses his desire or his disappointment. His desire to spend days in summer, his disappointment of the rain in summer. Understand? So, he waits for those temporary 10 weeks of freedom and the pleasant weather. But what happens? He feels that it's like a punishment. It's like a punishment that if he doesn't spend any day at the beach or playing with his friends. See, you also like playing games with your friends. Am I right? So, the day which is not spent playing games and spending time with your friends is wasted. Understand? Here also the boy feels the same. Now, third paragraph. On those rainy summer days, I had nothing fun to do and could only sit inside, staring out at the rain like a Dickensian orphan. Staring out means looking out without blinking eyes. Okay, staring out at the rain like a Dickensian orphan. Dickensian orphan means, you know, Charles Dickens. See, you are 8th standard right now. There is a reading in second unit, that is Oliver Asks for More. It is written by Charles Dickens. Understand? In his stories, most probably he talks about orphans. His stories are almost with orphans. See, he explains orphans and he explains the struggles of the orphans. they are like, they lead the worst life. So in such a way, he also feels like a Dickensian orphan. Okay, an orphan who is described in a Charles Dickens story. Understand? He also feels the same way. Now, I was an only child, so there was no one else to play with. My father worked from home, so I was not truly alone, but he could not actively play with me since he was technically at work. Yes, his father works from home, so his father doesn't involve with him in playing. That's why even though he feels lonely, but truly he is not lonely because his father is there at home. But his father doesn't participate in any activity with the boy. It was those days that I would resign myself to whatever was on television or any books that I could find lying around. He can read and watch whatever he wants to read, he wants to watch. I'd crawl through the day, I'd crawl and do all these nasty things in the daytime and pray each night that the rain would not be there the next day. So, what is his day activity? Doing all these things, reading books or watching things on television and doing all the things. But what does he do at the night? He prays God. He prays God. What does he pray? That there should be no rain tomorrow. There should be no rain tomorrow. The first 3 paragraphs describe the attitude of the boy. Now he became an adult. And how does he feel? Let us look into that. As an adult, though, my opinion of summer rain has changed. Now, what happened? It is, it is not like actual thing. How he was as a boy, he likes summer. But now as an adult, his opinion of summer rain has changed. His opinion has been changed. Why? It is called metaphorical explanation actually. Okay, which is not actual thing. What was the dream of the boy as a child? He was dreaming about summer, but as an adult, his opinion has been changed. Let us see the reason. When you have to work every day, summer is not as eagerly anticipated. Anticipated means expected. Okay, when you have to work every day, when there is no work, yes, you would think about fancy things. But when you get involved into any work, you won't probably think too much. Mostly the days run together, breeding into each other so that they no longer seem like separate entities and instead feel like continuations of the same long day. Suppose you have hectic work, project works, homeworks and assignments after the school hours, then the next day comes and you probably engage in the same work. Then you don't feel the difference of those 2 days. It's like a same day because you involve in the same work in 2 different days, but they seem one day. Everything seems monotonous and dull. Monotonous means lacking in variety. Okay, everything seems monotonous and dull, and an ennui and listlessness kicks in. See, ennui means boredom. Ennui means boredom. Such a mindset makes you cheer for everything new or different. Not just summer or not just weather that you anticipate, but everything that is new or different seems cheering. Understand? I spent the winter dreaming of summer and the summer dreaming of winter. As a boy, when he was in winter, he was dreaming of summer. But when summer comes, what happens? It rains. He feels very disappointed. But now as an adult, he felt, he is, dreaming of summer in winter, dreaming of winter in summer. When summer comes, I complain about how hot it is. And then I look forward the rain, because the rain brings with it a cold front, which offers a reprieve. Reprieve means a temporary break. A temporary break. So he gets some reprieve. Admittedly, agreeingly, one that is all too short from the torture of 100 degrees and humid days. Understand? It is just a small break from torture of 100 degrees and humid days. Rainy days are still the worst days of the summer. See, he doesn't agree that rainy days in summer are good, still worse. But what is he giving the final conclusion? Let us look into that. But summer rain today means positively beautiful. Remember, his idea has been changed. When he was a boy, he scolds, he blames that summer rain. Understand? But now he understood summer rain today means positively beautiful. Okay? And considerably cooler weather tomorrow. So the next day, when he was a boy, he used to pray God that there should be no rain. But as an adult, what he is expecting? Cool and pleasant weather tomorrow. That's all. So his idea has been changed. Now probably as a child you have many thoughts, but they may be changed in future. Now let us discuss the questions. Question number 1. The passage makes use of language that is metaphorical. See, metaphorical, it is a phrase that is used to describe something in a way that is different from the normal. See here, as a child how he was and as an adult how he is. That's a different here, and his ideology of summer rain has been changed also. That's why the figurative language in this story, summer rain, is used as metaphorical. Metaphorical language is used. Number 2. According to the passage, summer is different for adults because they do not get a long time off from work for the season. The main reason for changing the opinion as an adult is they engage entire day in their work. That's why they don't see any difference. Okay, so the summer is different in adults. Okay, the mindset of adult has been changed according to the passage. Number 3, according to the passage, which of the following is a true statement about the narrator as a child? Come to the option D. He or she had no siblings. Yes, clearly it is mentioned clearly that I was the only boy in the home, but I was not truly alone, he said. It means, was there anybody, any sibling with him to play? No. There was his father who worked from home, but he was almost alone. So he or she had no siblings. Question number 4. Compared to how he or she was as a child, the narrator as an adult is less excitable. Exactly. Option B. Less excitable. When he was a child, he was waiting for, very excited, exuberant to see the summer, to wait for the summer actually. But as an adult, he involved too much in work. That's why he doesn't see the difference between summer and rainy season, but what he is expecting, cool and pleasant weather. That's all. Understand? So when he was a child, he was more excited, exuberant, but now as an adult he is less excitable, less expressive also. Yes. Number 5. As used in the final paragraph, the word reprieve most nearly means, I have told you, reprieve means a short break or temporary break. Option D is the right answer. Question number 6, question for discussion. The author of this passage describes his or her feelings about rainy summer days. In general, how do you feel about such days? How do you feel about such days? Do you agree with the author's opinions? Do you agree with author's opinions? Or do you not mind this type of weather? Briefly explain your views. My dear students, please share your opinions with the teacher. Okay? Number 7. In paragraph 4, the author describes why he or she no longer looks forward to summer time the way he used to do as a child. Exactly. He changed his mindset. What do you think of this change? What do you think of this change? What made him to change his mindset? Do you believe that you will come to feel this way one day? Yes, as I have told you, You have certain beliefs and they may be changed in future. The question is, in the same way, do you believe that you will come to feel this way one day in future? Yes. Why or why not? Why or why not? Please share your opinions with your teacher. Okay. 8th one. The author writes in paragraph 4 that he or she spends the winter dreaming of summer and the summer dreaming of winter. On the other hand, many people would say that they have specific favorite seasons or times of the year. How do you feel? Yes, everybody has different likes, dislikes, beliefs. And how do you feel? Which season do you like? Do you have a favorite season and why? So these are the questions 6, 7, 8. We are giving chance to you to express your views with the teacher who is conducting this class. The title of the story is The Battle of Chancellorsville. Okay. Now let me read out, look into your books. The Battle of Chancellorsville, one of the famous battles of the Civil War, took place in Virginia in the spring of 1863. See students, it took place in 1863. For months, the two armies had been staked out on opposite banks of a narrow river. The Confederate troops were led by perhaps the most revered military tactician in American history, General Robert E. Lee. He is a revered means respected military tactician. He knows many tactics. Understand? So what was the army led by him? It was the Confederate troop. Second paragraph. The Union soldiers were led by Fighting Joe Hooker. He is not less than Lee. Okay. In appearance, personality and lifestyle. See, they have taken three things: appearance, personality and lifestyle. These men were nearly perfect opposites. Means they do not have similarities. Now let us analyze what are the differences. Lee, an older man. Who was Lee? American military tactician. Understand? And what was the army led by Lee? Confederate troop. So Lee, an older man in poor health with a grey beard. Had a somber, means serious, measured demeanor. Demeanor means behavior here. So he had grey beard, serious and measured behavior. Who? Lee. Hooker was a blonde means pale gold appearance, strapping young man, means tall and strong, whose vanity over his appearance. Vanity means proud of own appearance and ability also. Over his appearance was but one aspect of his egotism. He was egoist, we can say. Whereas Lee was devout. Devout means, you know already well, a person who dedicates his time for the devout thoughts. Devout and principled means organized. Hooker was known for his rollicking enjoyment of food and whiskey. So rollicking enjoyment means exuberant, excited. Always he loves parties. Always, he loves to eat food, more food. And he always likes to admire his own ability, admire his own personality, admire his own appearance. Understand? He likes to do that. Third paragraph. Despite the fact that the Confederacy had won the last 4 major battles and the Union soldiers were famished. Famished means very hungry. Exhausted, tired and very tired. Exhausted means very tired and demoralized. Remember, no more morality. Hooker proclaimed. Proclaimed means declared, stated in front of public. What happened? See, despite of the fact that Confederacy had won last 4 major battles, but what is Hooker telling? He proclaimed, he declared publicly that my plans are perfect and when I start to carry them out, may God have mercy on Bobby Lee. See, Bobby Lee means the opposite person. For I shall have none. See, I do not have mercy upon Lee. At least God should have. He thought that. Why? Why, aside from a propensity for narcissism, was Hooker so confident? Now let us see this sentence once again. Why was Hooker so confident? Why was Hooker so confident? Aside from a propensity for narcissism. Propensity means a tendency. Okay, because of something you act in a particular direction. That is called propensity. For what? For narcissism. What is this narcissism? Habit of admiring one's beauty, one's appearance, one's ability also. Understand? Habit of admiring one's ability. Too much prizing. Too much prizing. Understand? Who does this? Hooker does this. And does Lee do the same thing? No, he does not. He is very principled, organized, and he has devout mindset also. Now, Hooker had used spies, spies, the secret person, secret agents we can say, analysts, and even hot air balloons to compile means summon, gather a vast amount of intelligence about Lee's army. Okay, he had this kind of tactics to know the strength of Lee's army. He had discerned, for example, discerned means detected. After doing all these things, he detected that, for example, Lee had only 61,000 of army, 61,000 men, to Hooker's own 1,34,000, more than double. Lee has only 61,000 of men, whereas Hooker has 1,34,000. Buoyed by his superior numbers. Here he felt very aggressive and heartened by what? Superior numbers, means he had more than double of his army. So Hooker covertly moved 70,000 of his men 15 miles up and across the river. Covertly means secretly sent 70,000 of his army to 15 miles up and across the river, and then ordered them to sneak back down to position themselves behind Lee's army. This means what? Simply, in the middle there is a Lee's army. From the front, Hooker had almost 50% of his men, and he sent the remaining 50% back to the Lee's army. This is the plan. Okay. In effect, Hooker had cut off the Confederate soldiers in front and behind. They were trapped. Okay, this is the plan executed by Hooker, and the Lee's army was trapped. Satisfied with his advantage, Hooker became convinced that Lee's only option was to retreat to Richmond, thus assuring a Union victory. He expected that Lee's army would surrender and go back. He also expected the Union victory. Now what happened? Let us see. Yet Lee, despite his disadvantages of both numbers and position, yes, he doesn't have as good as army, as good number as Hooker's army, and the position also. Okay, in the middle he was trapped. His army was trapped, did not retreat. Even though with these kinds of disadvantages, Lee did not give up. Instead, he moved his troops into position to attack. Union soldiers who tried to warn Hooker that Lee was on the offensive were dismissed as cowards. Some people in the army of Hooker said that he was in aggressive offensive mode. They were dismissed as cowards from the duties. Having become convinced that Lee had no choice but to retreat, Hooker began to ignore reality. What is reality? Let us look into that. When Lee's army attacked the Union soldiers at 5 p.m., they were eating supper, completely unprepared for battle at 5 p.m. They abandoned, means they left their rifles and fled as Lee's troops come shrieking out of the brush, bayonets drawn. Brush means wild vegetation. Wild vegetation means from the wild bushes we can say. that is called brush, and from with the bayonets drawn. With these kind of things they attacked the Hooker's army. Against all odds, Lee won the battle of Chancellorsville. The Hooker's forces withdraw in defeat. So see, even though he had great number of people, Hooker had great number of people, even though he had a great plan, he was defeated by Lee. So we need to be patient until the right moment comes. Understand? Now let us discuss the questions. Number 1. Based on the information in the passage, it can be concluded that Hooker lost the battle of Chancellorsville mostly because of his vanity, ignorance, overconfidence, faulty information. Yes, it is overconfidence. Understand? Narcissism. Number 2. The contrast drawn between Lee and Hooker in paragraph 2 is intended to imply that these men fundamentally differed in their approaches to nearly everything, including battle. Remember, see, in the paragraph 2 they have explained the difference of personality, intelligence also, but now even in the battle also, battle plans also, they had different ideas in approach. That's why Lee won the battle. Option D is right one. Number 3. In paragraph 3, the author quotes Hooker as saying, "My plans are perfect, and when I start to carry them out, may God have mercy on Bobby Lee, for I shall have none." The author most likely includes this quote in order to demonstrate Hooker's belief in his own infallibility. Option A is right. Demonstrate Hooker's belief in his own infallibility. See, he blames his men. He doesn't blame himself. Understand? So option A is right one. Fourth, based on its use in paragraph 3, it can be inferred that the word propensity belongs to which of the following word groups? It belongs to tendency, means propensity belongs to the group of tendency, inclination and predisposition. Option D is the right answer. Number 5. How many men did Hooker position behind Lee's army? He sent 70,000 men. Option B is right. 6. As used in paragraph 4, buoyed most nearly means heartened. Almost we can say overjoyed or overwhelmed with the superior number. Okay, because he had almost more than double, not almost, more than double of the Lee's army. That's why he was heartened, overwhelmed with the superior numbers. So option D is the right answer. 7th, according to the author, Hooker's advantages going into the battle of Chancellorsville included numbers, position, strategy. What do you think? It's not about strategy, but it is about numbers and position. Because of this numbers and position, he was ready to go forward into the battle. That's all. Okay, option C is the right one. Number 9, question for discussion. If you had been Hooker, what would you have done differently during the battle of Chancellorsville? What have you done differently? What would you have done differently? Would you have made the same decisions like Hooker? Would you have made the same decisions like Hooker? Why or why not? Why or why not? Please explain this. Please share your opinions with your teacher. Okay. Now let's see the passage 8. The name of the story is Sun. The Sun is a star located at the center of our solar system. The Sun is the largest object in the solar system. It is more than 99.8% of the mass of the solar system. More than 1 million Earths could fit inside the Sun. Second paragraph. From Earth, the Sun looks like a yellow ball in the sky. A long time ago, people didn't know what the Sun was. Many people told stories about the Sun. People in many countries told stories about the Sun. In some stories, people said the Sun was a god, and some people worshipped it because it was something so amazing and shining. Due to lack of scientific knowledge, they could not think of Sun as a star like any other stars. Some people gave names to the Sun. The Greeks named it Helios. The Romans named it Sol. The Roman named it Sol. The name solar system comes from the Roman name Sol. Third paragraph. The sun is very hot. On the surface, it is about 5510 degrees Celsius. That's equal to about 10,11,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The inside of the sun is even hotter. When compared to the core, means inside, surface is somewhat cooler. Understand? The core of the sun is 15 crore degrees Celsius. 15 crore degrees Celsius. That's 27 crore degrees Fahrenheit. The light from the sun is very bright. People must not look directly at the sun. Looking directly at the sun will hurt your eyes. People need the sun's heat and light to live. Animals need the sun's heat and light to live. Plants need the sun's heat and light to live. Plants make food with sunlight. People and animals eat the plants. Plants also use the sun to make oxygen. People and animals need to breathe oxygen. Today, people do not tell stories about the sun because we know that it is just like a star, any other millions of stars. Today, people do not think the sun is a god and no more worship the sun. But people know that the sun is necessary for life on earth. Yes, it is the truth. Either it is scientific or whatever it is a truth that sun is required for our livelihood. Now, question number 1. According to the passage, which of the following statements is or true? D is the right answer. 2 and 3 only. Look at second one. Some people used to think the sun was a god. Yes, real. The sun's surface is cooler than its core. Yes, real. In the core, it is even hotter. When compared to the core, yes, surface is cooler. Now, second question. The main idea of the second paragraph is to explain how people reacted to the sun. Option C is the right answer because they explained how they reacted to the sun, how they treated the sun. Okay. Number 3. In line 10, the word core most closely means center. Option A is the right answer. Number 4. People considered the sun as God because the sun was amazing and shining. Yes. They could not think of sun as a star. Yes. They did not have any scientific knowledge. Yes. So 3 are right. Option D. All the 3 answers are correct. So my dear students, I have explained you the first 3 paragraphs 6, 7 and 8 and I am giving you 9th and 10th one as homeworks. So please do that and write your answers there in the EEP worksheets and discuss those answers with your respective teacher. And with this I wind up today's class. We will meet in the next EEP class. See you in the next class.